Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to another installment of Flyera, episode 62. We got a good one for you this week. We're going to be going over last week's games. 3-1. Flyers look good. 3 straight road wins to end the week after a wet fart game in Tampa Bay. 14-7-3. Is this team potentially playoff bound? We'll see. We're going to be talking about a little bit of that later in the show and sustainability. Also, there's been some Michkov drama a little bit, not necessarily with him, but more in the back burners of social media with all the reports of Quinn Hughes possibly coming up, of asking for a trade. I'm seeing people all over social media potentially bringing up, they're going to throw him into a trade package. I'm just here to say, everyone, calm down, and I'll explain why later on. And then, obviously, next week's games, we'll go over that as well, and our usual prediction for that, because the Flyers are about to begin a 6-game homestand with a pretty damn good record. But, yeah, with that being said, let me introduce you to one of my 2 awesome, gracious co-hosts. You know me, love him, the man to my left, Mr. Eric Martino. Eric, how you doing today, bud?
Not too bad. That's a great week by the Flyers, all on the road. So, yeah, I think we got something cooking here.
14-7-3. And, it's not even that they had a good week on the road. It's who they beat, too.
Mm.
You beat New Jersey, in order, the defending champs on the road. Yeah, they're not 100%, but still, It's still the defending champs. So you consider that a good win regardless. The Isles, who were looking pretty hot. And then the New Jersey Devils, who going into the game had not lost a game in regulation at home. Until now, that is. The Flyers, are they back? Are we cooking?
Looks like
let's go over this week's games, man. By the way, Jamey may be joining us a little bit later. He's dealing with some stuff with his rental right now, so he might be hopping in at some point later today. But let's go right into this. 3-1 week. It started off with a bit of a wet fart game in Tampa, and then the team kind of found his groove. And, one thing we've been consistently knocking this team about is the lack of sustainability and the issues of getting shots on net and, quality over quantity, the over-reliance and the dump and chase, whole 9 yards there. For the first time, I can say I felt good about these wins. They played a solid, complete game, and they were getting more rubber on the net. And this is something I've been calling for a while. You look at some of these games. I think they had 30 or 31 shots against New Jersey. They were in the high 20s, I think, against the Isles. It's an improvement. And we not just talking about improvement there, but, Zegras is continuing his good play. He's up to a point per game, 24 games, 24 points, 9 goals, 15 assists on the year. Continues to be more and more like a masterclass move by Briere. Michkov now 5 points his last 5 games, coming off a 2-goal game yesterday against the Devils. He's starting to find his own, even if he only got about 13 minutes yesterday. He had almost 16 minutes the game before. And yesterday's game, I put more on the fact that this team was in the box, and he specifically was in the box a little bit. But one thing I want to give Talkie credit for this week that he could have very easily, benched him for. Mitch, we go to that Isles game, and with about maybe 6.5 minutes to go in the third, after the whistle, mind you, Michkov kind of takes a bit of a bonehead penalty, gives the guy a little bit of a high stick / cross check to the face. I saw some people tell me he kind of sold it on social media. No, that was a right call. He was bleeding. It was a dumb move to make at that point. I'm thinking to myself, oh, God, Talkie was just starting to give him some leash. Now he's going to probably bench him the rest of this game. If they even get to overtime, he's not going to see the ice. Not only did they kill off the penalty, not only did he, immediately stay out there on the ice after the fact, he gave him another shift before the overtime even began. And then he got a shift in OT as well. And I'm thinking to myself, would this be the beginning of something where we're talking to starting to finally feel more comfortability and trust in Michkov? And, just as a collective whole, Forster looks like he's found another gear lately. Now the team leader in goals with 9. Did you know, Eric, goals per game going into last night's game, he didn't score last night, but going into last night's game, In the last 30 games, Tyson Forster has the 4th best goals per game average in the entire NHL. He found it. This kid is looking, and you know me, I was on board the Tyson Forster fan club well before this breakout began. I've always been a fan of this kid. He plays a great two-way game. He's got a fantastic shot. He's smart. He never seems like he's out of position. He plays a good defensive back-checking game. Smart with the puck just in general. I love what this kid brings. If he's not, quote-unquote, an untouchable, I think he's the next closest thing to that. And, teams need to recognize what he provides. This team needs, just in general, the Forster-Cates Konechny line, I'm kind of glad that Forster at least has another good winger on his side. Not that Bobby Brink's a bad player, but let's be honest here. Bobby Brink's a third-line talent. And if there's one Flyer that kind of has been a little sluggish lately, I think it's him. Yeah. I have not seen much out of Brink lately at all. But, you give a guy like Travis Konechny to Tyson Forster, and they kind of build off of each other. And that I've seen Konechny even play a little bit better lately. Not to the level he was at the beginning of last year, but better in terms of where he was earlier this year. So yeah, I gotta say, I do eventually want to see a Forster, Zegras, Michkov line, and I'd like to see them try to put another winger with Couturier, Michkov at some point, because Brink has been a little bit sluggish. I might sound a little hypocritical here, because one of the things I was always adamant about is I didn't think the Tippett-Michkov connection worked out too well. But, Tippett has been playing better himself too, and he's been playing smarter. And that's something that we could always attack Tippett for in the past, that he always played a fast-paced game, but he was not the smartest hockey player in the world, and he missed the net a lot. I feel like he's hitting the net more this year, and he's playing a smarter game. And that is something that needs to be stressed on more. That's where I can give Tocchet some credit. I think he's done a lot with Owen Tippett. He said it in press conferences how much he's kind of hyped him up and said, listen, I think there's another gear there. And a lot of us fans may have kind of brushed it off a little bit. But Owen Tippett has played a much smarter game this year. And that's something that deserves praise. So I'm at the point where maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea to even look back at Couturier, Michkov, Tippett line, or even maybe if you want to eventually try Cates with Michkov and Tippett or something like that. But overall, good week. I'm proud of what the team has showed. They played more of a sustainable game that you can be proud and comfortable with. You set it off air, Eric, to us while we were talking. You think it began kind of in the second half of that Florida game. At first, I didn't really even look at it that way because I just thought it was another fucking slow start game. But since that point, they've been playing better out of the gate, and they had a very good weekend that I hope that they can build off of long-term and play this level of sustainable hockey, because the last two games especially, they played a style of hockey that I can feel comfortable with. Eric, the floor is yours. What did you think of the week?
Yeah, no, just to touch on Tocchet, a little bit more on what you said. Yeah, no, you're right. Like, look, he could have buried Michkov a couple times this week, where he's like, oh, you did this, you're stapled to the bench, you did that, but no, he didn't. And you know what? He's been giving him like more and more minutes. Like, I think it was the Florida game, if I'm not mistaken, or if it was the Islanders. But anyway, it was one of the two where like he would double shift Michkov sometimes. Like he would take a shift on the Zegras line, whether he was replacing, whether he was replacing
Zegras and Forster. We finally got what I've been asking for a little bit, and it looked good. It looked good.
But that's it. That line does look good, even with Michkov on it, and look, and it was even during a tie game. At one point, it was tied, and he's like, "Yeah, no, that's fine. Like, we're not just gonna sit on this tie. I'm gonna put Michkov up there with those guys and see what happens." And that's a positive, because my biggest critique about Tocchet, especially like at the beginning of the season, was like he's starting to alienate his young players, because like they make a mistake and they're stapled to the bench. So no, that was a big positive on the Tocchet front. And also, look, the Tampa game, Emil Andre had a bit of a rough game against Tampa.
He did, yes.
Okay. To start the Florida game, he started rough again. Okay. And then there was at one point where Tocchet actually benched him like if you notice, then Sealer was back with Drysdale for a couple of shifts. And I'm like, okay, here we go. Like he had a rough start. He's gonna be stapled to the bench. And you know what? I gotta give it to Tocchet. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna sit him down for a couple shifts, make him like relax, make him maybe refocus. And then what did he do? He put him back out there with Drysdale. He's like, okay, you sat a couple of shifts, it's fine, And then look what he did after that. Emil Andre took off and had a great game. Ended up with a great game against the Florida Panthers.
He had a goal and assist, I believe, in that second period alone. Yeah,
exactly. So these are things I love to see, and these are things I wasn't seeing at the beginning of the season with Tocchet, but now like you're seeing it more and more. So like I don't know if like these guys, these young players, like they've what's what I'm looking for. They gained his confidence. I don't know if that's or what it is, but like I'm seeing it a lot more out of Tocchet that that's what he's been doing.
Do you think? Oh, sorry, continue.
No, go.
Well, it's more of a follow-up on this. Do you think this was something that Tocchet did under his own accord? Did you think he may have even had a discussion with the higher-ups about what they should be doing with that?
That's actually a good question. I don't know. Honest with you, I don't know. I'd like to believe he did it on his own accord. Like maybe, you know what, at the beginning of the season, because look, at the end of the day, Michkov, the first, like I've said before, like the first, and you said it too, like the first, like I would say the 8 to 10 games, he really wasn't playing well, and he didn't deserve the minutes. He wasn't playing well. So, and then look, Andre, before these couple of games, Andre was playing super well. So it's not like he was playing bad and like for a few games, and this was like put it over the top. So I think this is more just Tocchet, like reading the room, I guess you could say. And like, okay, you know what? You need to just sit and watch for a little bit, and then okay, you can go back. Because if this was Tortorella, guaranteed fucking Andre was probably stapled to the bench for the rest of the game, and he would have played 5 defensemen. So, but no, I think it is Tocchet, just like because like, a lot of people say like he's a player's coach. So like he doesn't seem like the type of guy that's gonna just hold I think he actually does it for the betterment of his players.
Yeah.
So who knows? Like I think it's just, and like we said too, Michkov's been playing so much better these last 10 games.
Oh, for sure.
So like obviously he's trying to get at least, he probably sees it talking. He probably sees it like, oh, this guy's going now. Okay, now I'll get him some extra minutes here. I'll get him some extra minutes there. So yeah, no, that was a massive positive for this past week for me. And you know what? Actually, Urson was actually a big positive for me this week because, like, come on, he's had a rough season. Like, Urson has had a rough season. And
I mean, that's nothing new, unfortunately, but yeah, you're right.
But look, the Tampa game, I thought he really played well. Even though he didn't face that many shots. I think Tampa ended up with like 18 shots, but still, like, he still ended up with a 0.86 goals saved above expected. So he was in the positives. Like, where it's like more often than not, he's been in the negatives. And same thing against the Islanders. He had a 0.84 goals saved above expected. So each game, he almost like it's almost 1 goal saved more than expected. So, like, we got to give it to them. Look, if we're gonna shit on him, we might as well like give him props when he's playing well. So, you know what? I thought that was great. One thing that was a little concerning for me this week was we did tend to get outshot. Like the Tampa game, technically we won the shot battle, but like that was such a boring shit game. I was like, I think the shot we ended up with
another one of those slugfests.
Yeah, it was, and it's not like Tampa was playing great that game. Like they just caught, like they capitalized on a couple of opportunities that they had and whatever, but like 20 to 18 the shots. Then you have the Florida game where the shots were 27-18, where we were actually outshot. But I think that's also that first period, man. Like it was weird because we had such a bad game against Tampa, or like whatever, bad-ish game against Tampa. And then like the first 5 minutes of that Florida game were like, oh, okay, like they came out like, okay, there we go. That game was just a whatever. Then all of a sudden, like
when the Marchand goal was scored, it was like Vladar had to do all the work. Florida completely flipped the momentum.
Exactly. Like a switch went off, and they're like, "No, it's okay. There you go, Florida. Go right ahead." And it's like, what the fuck, man? But that's it. Then, like about halfway through the second, I would say, then the Flyers took off again.
Yeah.
And you know what? We ended up winning that game. Tyson Forster, like you said, man, he's been a beast. He has 5 goals in his last 6 games.
He's
fucking awesome, man.
He's not quote unquote an untouchable, but he's the next closest thing. Him and Zegras, like I would put it like Michkov and Martone are in like that untouchable tier. If you put a next tier of like the guys you would not want to trade more likely than not, him and Zegras are like in that next tier to me. I have been like, and I'm just getting more and more impressed with this kid. I think he's going to make a real run at the Selke this year. I really do. I know he's not a center, and it's usually a more predominantly center-known award, but he does so many things on the ice that aren't shown on the stat sheet. He back checks. He's always in position. He intercepts passes. He blocks shots. He does a lot of the little things, and he's never out of position. When was the last time you can say, oh, my God, Tyson, what kind of fucking play was that? Or what kind of pass was that? Do you ever find yourself saying that? Like, I found myself saying that about Zegras on the play last night. And, not to take anything away from him, he's been great this year. But it's been more of a compliment to how smart of a hockey player Tyson is. He always does the little things that don't show up on the stat sheet. He really does. And I love that about his game.
No, extremely, extremely intelligent player. Like he's like if he doesn't win it this year, like he might not, whatever. But like you could see it at least one time in his career where like the voters are gonna have like, okay, we gotta throw some respect on there.
Yeah, I know he's a winger, but he deserves he missed 2 weeks this year, and he's the team's leading goal scorer. Imagine if he didn't miss those 2 weeks, he'd probably have about 12 goals right now.
Oh yeah. And you know what? I would have to check. I don't remember. But I think Mark Stone won a Selke. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm not 100% sure.
I'll have to look.
But like, look, he's been great. He's honestly been a very bright spot on this team this year. And just to finish off,
Stone has not won it.
No, okay, I wasn't sure. I know he's been in the top nominations for sure, but
listen to this. This might shock you. The last winger to win the Selke was Jerry Lettinen back in 2002, 2003.
Oh, wow. Yuri Lettinen was the last guy to win the Selke?
That is the last, according to hockeyreference.com, that is the last one. As I'm looking at all these, Barkov, Bergeron, Couturier won it 1 year, Ryan O'Reilly, Kopitar, Taves, Kessler, Datsuk, Brindamore, like Draper. There's all centers.
Yeah, it's so rare for a winger to win. It's incredible. Like, holy shit.
But who knows? I think he might end up. He could be the player that breaks that trend. I'm not trying to sound biased here, but he truly looks like the player that could break that trend. But overall, good week. I agree with you on the Erson take. I give him shit, but all the goals he allowed this week, I don't think I can pinpoint one that I think he played the Isles game and he played
the Tampa and the Islanders.
Tampa game, right? Even the Tampa game, they only lost 3-0, and one was an empty netter.
Yeah.
So he only allowed 2 goals. I don't think I'd blame either of those goals on him on Tampa. And the Isles game, the Schaefer shot was a really good shot. Maybe he overperceived that a little bit, but other than that, I don't even give him much blame for that at all. Like it's more or less like me nitpicking at that point.
Exactly.
But overall, I can't really say. Oh man, you got to make that save. That the Schaefer one was just a great player making a great shot. One was a redirect. One was half his team friggin' screening him. Like one was a cross crease one timer. Like there's some of these goals I look at, it's like, and he continues to be incredible in shootouts. Man, he made yet another shootout win. 12-3 in 15 shootout game appearances. The guy gets beat on longer shots from these mid-range shots. I probably bet you Tyson Forster picks him all the time in freaking practice because that's Tyson's game. But he gets beat on those type of shots. But if you're facing him one-on-one in a shootout, I don't know what it is, but it's like a switch flips and he locks in. He's got an 80 save percentage in shootouts. That's really good. That's really fucking good for a shootout. So, he deserves some props. Vladar, again, all good games. I think he went 28 for 31 last night, a 903 save percentage. There really wasn't one I could say that was his fault. Like that one T was more of a defensive breakdown that Nemec scored. That wasn't on him. That was more on defensive coverage. He got beat on a power play goal. That wasn't really his fault. He again, the goal. It's more. I couldn't really pinpoint anything bad on the goalies this week. They did what they had to do. They didn't friggin' play spectacular, but they did what they had to do, and that's all you can ask. And Urson did make some spectacular saves in that overtime against the Isles, so he deserves props for that too. But I know it sounds contradicting. I said that they didn't play spectacular, but then he makes spectacular saves. But I think you get what I'm saying, like in a big vacuum. But anyway, anything else you want to add before we move on to our next point?
Yeah, I just want to touch on one last little thing. The lines right now, the way like Talkett has them, I think are really working well. Like you were mentioning Tippett before, and like I think I mentioned it last week or the week before. Like, you know what? Tippett should buy, I don't know, like Zegras, like a steak dinner or a fucking 10,000 bottles of wine or something, because you see it like he started the season with Zegras, played amazing. Look how he's been playing now since he's been reunited with Zegras on that line with Dvorak. That line is insanely good. Really, honestly, been like one of our since they've been put back together. I've probably been one of the Flyers' top line, and also want to mention like the Coots Brink Michkov line. Even though Brink, I find, like you mentioned also, I find the last little while he's not been as good as he was to start the season. Like, I don't know if that's maybe because you took him away from like Cates and Forster. So if I don't know. But that line, though, together, the last couple games, like the one against the Islanders and the one against New Jersey, these last two games, has actually been the Flyers' best line possession and puck possession and everything, and scoring chances and everything. So if we can get at least our top three lines to keep on rolling, and if somehow Briere can maybe fix that fourth line, maybe like, I don't know, maybe make an addition here or there, or maybe call somebody up, I don't know. Like because like I said before, like the Flyers this year remind me a lot of Seattle from like 2-3 years ago. That year that they made the playoffs and beat Colorado in the first round.
Oh, but that means they have Dave Haxtell as their coach, and that gives me PTSD.
Okay, minus like no.
Yeah, let's exclude that part of it.
Oh, but what I mean by that is like for a team like this, like a team that doesn't have like super elite talent. Like, and I'm not like we have Zegras, we have Michkov, but again, they're still young and like they're starting to scratch at their potential, you know. But for a team like ours to actually do some damage to make the playoffs, you have to run all four lines. Agreed. You just have to. That's just the way you have to go. Like Daniel Sprung that year for Seattle had 20 goals on the fourth line. You need you roll all four lines. That's the way you're gonna win, because you can't depend on one or two lines. Like if one night, let's say the Zegras line's not going, well, you know what? We need the Coots Michkov line to go. If one night that Coots line is not going, well, you know what? We need the Case line to go. So so right now I think they're kind of there with at least the top three lines. The fourth line I still think needs a little bit of adjusting. So that's up to Danny, and we'll see what happens.
One other player I want to give a quick shout out to that I almost forgot. You kind of remind me of this. Christian Dvorak is low-key on pace for 55 points this year. Who in the fuck saw that coming? This guy, he has to be arguably the most underrated signing of all of free agency this year. He has been such a good ad. Fans lost this shit at the time for him signing a $5 million contract. And I said, bro, it's 1 year. Who cares? Yeah. If it doesn't work out, you can flip it at the deadline. 24 games, 6 goals, 10 assists so far. He is on pace for 55 points. Give him his flowers because he deserves it. He has been a good two-way center for this team. He's been a good face-off guy. You know, Christian Dvorak deserves a little more love because I am loving what I've seen from him. He has already exceeded my expectations so far. His career high in points is 38 with the Arizona Coyotes when he was 23. He is on pace to shatter that in his age 29 season. So All the
Yeah.
props to you, Dvorak. Good shit. Keep doing what you're doing.
That $5 million seems like a bargain right now.
Yeah, it went from everyone thinking, "Oh, we overpaid him." To
No, you didn't.
can we re-sign this guy after this year? Maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea to keep him here for another 2 years. Like, you know what? He's not the same position, but he kind of has the same feeling as when they brought Sean Walker here a few years back. Like, he's making that type of impact, like an
Yeah.
impact you did not expect at his. Obviously, Walker was a defenseman, but he's making that type of impact. Like, we didn't expect that from this guy. We thought this guy was just going to be a depth guy. Look at how much he of a positive influence he's made. So Dvorak deserves his love. So giving it to him right there. All right. So now we had a little bit of a positive segment. Let's now more of a step back and calm things down segment. So I'm sure you've heard, Eric, Quinn Hughes has kind of been in the news for trade talks. And, you know, between that and the Flyers were obviously mentioned. They were considered like the second or third most likely destination, obviously with Devils being one. I think if he does get moved, that's where he will ultimately end up just because he wants to play with his brothers and the whole 9 yards. Mind you, personally, I think it would actually be a negative impact to Luke Hughes, but I personally think he's overrated anyway, so who gives a damn? Bring Quinn if he gets here. But anyway, so besides the point. Fans started doing little trade proposals, and I've got to say, I must have saw at least a third of the fan base start throwing Michkov into trade talks. And I put my hands back. I'm like, hold the fucking phone and chill. Because I understand, this is more, the topic of this isn't more based off of that. It's more the topic is based off of the hysteria, hence why the name of this episode is called Michkov Mayhem. That people are losing their patience already after bailing over a quarter of a season where he had a rough 8 to 10 game stretch, as you mentioned. And people are already thinking, oh, he's going to get ruined. He's going to want to get asked out. He's going to want to request a trade. Let's all take a step back and chill. And this is my time to come out and say, let's sit down and talk about this and realize what this team did for this kid to get him here. Number one, there was a lot of, there was a few teams that passed up on him. If he wasn't out in rush, he probably would have been drafted between second and fourth overall, realistically. He dropped to 7 to us. We obviously made a move on him. And I'm sure he valued that the team had that much confidence in him right there. Danny Briere and Keith Jones went to exponential lengths after his first season out in Russia to get him here early. They had talks with Sochi, getting him out of his contract in Rottenburg and saying, listen, we want to get him here. What's it going to take to get this kid here as quick as possible? And they were just going back and forth, grinding tooth and nail to get him here. Not only that, when he did finally arrive and everything happened, they wanted to make it as comfortable for him as possible. And one thing people forget is this poor kid's father was murdered out in Russia. And that was a major impact on his life. Danny took it upon himself to get his mother and his brother out here to acclimate, to make him feel comfortable, to get him in a more comfortable situation. Then we fast forward to his first year here. Fans are losing their mind about how Tortorella and him were kind of bashing heads, but behind the scenes, Michkov loved Torts. And he even came out and said it too, like after the fact, like he really embraced having Tortorella and his style as a coach. And they had their weekly sit downs with him, Torts, and the Russian translator, just finding ways to get on the same page and get better. And Michkov appreciated that. And he ended up having now, mind you, not the entire season was under Torts. Obviously, Torts got fired in the final 9 games. But Michkov ended up putting up 63 points in 80 games. Even if you take out the last 9 where he put up 12 points, he still would have put up 51 points in 71 games, which is still a pretty damn good rookie year. So this is me coming out to say, listen, I understand people were frustrated at his start. I understand people were frustrated about Tocchet's usage. But at the end of the day, we need to take a step back sit down and realize that this organization values Matvei Michkov more than any other piece, or at worst, tied for the most important player with Porter Martone. If you want to say it's a tie, fine, go for it. But outside of those two guys are the future of this organization. Those two guys are the cornerstone blue chip prospects. You're not trading these guys in general. Those type of players you don't move. Those type of players you build around. Because not only if you move him, does that look bad, you already had to be forced to move Cutter Gauthier. And now, mind you, I don't blame Danny for that at all, or the organization as a whole, at least from the information that we gathered today. Because Danny went through great lengths. We don't know the full story with that. The suspicion is Chuck guaranteed him a spot, then Danny told him, no, you got to earn it here. We'd rather you play another year in college. And that turned Cutter off, and he wanted to leave after that. And Danny did everything he could after that. He went overseas to Sweden during, junior tournaments and tried to talk to him, and he completely shut him off for months to try to fix the situation before they realized they had no choice. So, well, again, I don't think it would have been the same situation, but then that would have been two young blue chip prospects that you traded that quickly, and that would turn off any young player to think, why would I want to play here after both of those guys got moved that quickly. So, at the end of the day, this is what I have to say about the big picture. Matvei's not going anywhere, and you're starting to see him find his game. 24 goals. 24 games this year. He has 8 goals, 6 assists, 14 points. If the assist number, his goal number total is right about on pace as last year. I think he's actually on pace for 27 right now, which is 1 goal more than last year. His assist numbers are down a little bit, but I think a lot of that some of that has to do with puck luck. Some of that has to do with the rough start he had, and then maybe even a little bit lesser minutes too. But the assists will come in due time. They will. I don't know if he ends up having the year he had last year, but he could still hit high 50s, low 60s points. We'll see. But I think Matvei's starting to find his own. So what I mean here is patience. One guy I want to point to is Nathan MacKinnon. Now, obviously, I'm not saying he's going to become Nathan MacKinnon, so everyone calm your tits when I say this. But Nathan MacKinnon in his second year in 64 games had 38 points. That's not a lot. And, people don't realize. And MacKinnon was seeing more minutes than Michkov was. He had 14 goals, 24 assists, 38 points in his second season after having, ironically, a 63-point year the year prior, which is the same exact point production Michkov had. Then MacKinnon put up 52 and 53 the years after that. It wasn't until MacKinnon's age 22 season that MacKinnon's switch flipped and he took off. 97, 99, 93, 65, 88, 111, 140, 116, and now he currently has 44 points in 25 games. He is fucking running away with the Hart Trophy right now. He is on pace. I have to say this. I think for the first time in a while, there is a real discussion of who the best player in the world is between Nathan MacKinnon and Connor McDavid. But again, not to go too off track. My point being is everyone develops at a different pace. And Nathan MacKinnon is a perfect example of that. Of where a guy who had a rough start, who was seeing more minutes than Michkov too. Michkov's seeing only an average about 14 minutes a game. MacKinnon was seeing an average of 17.03 in that season. And in 64 games, he only put up 38 points. So it's a point of reference where we say, relax, calm down, give it time. He will find his game. Don't react in the heat of the moment. This is still a franchise player. He's not going anywhere.
No, he's not going. Come on. Let's get serious here. He's not going anywhere. You know what I think first of all, this is something that's really just completely been made up by fucking Flyers Twitter. Mm-hmm. There's one or two guys that are really pushing this narrative. And I think, I think it just comes down to Alain Vigneault PTSD. Honestly, I think that's one reason. Because with Ghost and with Voracek, I can't win with these guys, so trade them. And how did that work out for the Flyers? How did that work out?
They got worse, not better. Especially with the Gossip Bear trade. That trade still gives me PTSD.
And now we're not even talking about, well, maybe like Voracek in his prime, but that was like towards Voracek, the end of Voracek's career.
No, that was in the back nine of his career.
Yeah, exactly. Sure. So what the fuck would the Flyers trade Michkov at like 20 years old? Like, no, guys, it's not gonna happen. Especially after they fucking moved mountains to get this fucking guy here. Now, what you think? Just because, and again, because when I go down to the Vigneault PTSD, Tocchet's not playing him. Tocchet's not giving the minutes, so Tocchet hates him. The fucking captain hates him. The rest of the team hates him. Everybody hates him. So we're gonna trade him. Like, where is this coming from? Can I know, please? Can I know where this is coming from? Because it makes no sense whatsoever. Okay, Couturier does not hate Michkov. The team does not hate Michkov. Okay. And Briere, and everyone's like, oh, Briere doesn't like me. No, this is the new one. Briere doesn't like Michkov. Yeah. What? Like, Briere could not have been happier when we got him at 7, walking up, that smirk on his face, walking up to the podium. Okay? And then what him and Jonesy did just to get him here after 1 year. And now you're telling me after one bad summer, okay, granted, he had a bad summer. Yep. Oh, surprise, surprise. A 19, 20-year-old with all kinds of money had a bad summer. You know what? It happens. He's gonna learn from this. It's a learning experience. You know what? And you know what? If next year it happens again, then it's a concern. But right now, like, let's get serious. Like, come on. Like, Danny hates him. Like, no. Michkov is not going anywhere. Okay. Now, do I think he's like completely untouchable? No, nobody is completely untouchable. At the end of the day, if Edmonton calls you and says, hey, by the way, I got like Connor McDavid with an 8-year extension, I'm willing to trade him for Michkov. You think about it and you probably do it. Yeah. But like, come on. Like, that's like not, first of all, it's not going to happen. Okay. That's one. Yeah. 2. Okay. Now because now it's all the Quinn Hughes, right? Because what's his name? Jim Rutherford came out and said, oh, well, our veterans are available. Now, he never said Quinn Hughes is available. And actually, the insiders like Friedman and the other guys actually said that right now he's not available. But things could change by the deadline because they're going to have to sit down with him, have a conversation, be like, listen, what's your plan here? Because we're not going to lose you for nothing. Yeah. Okay, so that's 1. 2, even if you trade for Quinn Hughes cannot sign an extension until July 1st. Okay? Until he cannot sign an extension until July 1st. So let's say today, the Flyers would trade for Quinn Hughes. Now, if you package Michkov, let's say Michkov, whatever, you make this massive package, because it's Quinn Hughes, Norris defenseman, blah, 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 blah. We have to sell half of the team for this guy. Okay, fine, cool. You make that package, you trade for Quinn Hughes. On July 1st, 2027, he says, ciao, guys, I'm going to fucking New Jersey. I'm telling you right now, those fans on Twitter that are all like, no, what are you talking about? You need to trade Michkov for Hughes. And then what are they going to be saying on that day when fucking Hughes walks out the door? Huh? Yeah. You just gave up a possibly like superstar player for a guy for like a year and a half? Like, come on, let's get serious. And
this is where the chaos just comes in. Like, people live in the heat of the moment too much. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, and if you are going to trade for Quinn Hughes, you're not trading either of your 2 blue chip guys.
No.
Yeah, a package like that for a guy like him, I'm just going to throw a hypothetical package together just for shits and giggles. I'm going to say it would be like a Cam York, an Owen Tippett, a Jet Luchenko, and a first-round pick. It would be something like that. I think along those lines. Because let's face it, Quinn Hughes is a top 3 defenseman in the league, so it would have to be something ludicrous.
Yeah.
So a trade like that, maybe even throw in maybe an extra like second-round pick just as a sweetener or something like that, that's what it would take. But if you're doing a trade like that, you better be getting a damn extension out of it in July 1st. That better be a handshake agreement like, listen, we're only doing this if I know you tell us right now you want to play here long term. Otherwise, no, we're not doing this. Oh yeah, I'll do it.
Honestly, I I don't know if it's just like maybe I have trust issues or something, but like there's no way I trade a massive package for that guy without like an actual contract signed and like
It would probably be more of a summer move. Like I wouldn't want to
yeah.
do that in season. You need to make sure that you can get the extension in the summer.
Yeah, you want to do this July 1st? Okay, now we'll talk massive package. You want to do this July 1st? No problem. We'll figure it out because I might get him with an extension. But if you want to trade for this guy at the deadline and there's no guarantee that he's re-signing or that he's even inkling at signing an extension, I'm sorry. The best I would offer without an extension is like Cam York and a first. Cam York maybe a first and a second, something like that, or Cam York a first and like a B prospect maybe. Yeah. Because I'm sorry, but I'm not going to trade you like half of my assets just for a guy that I'm going to have for a year and a half.
Yeah.
Like it makes
no sense. You need to know you're getting an extension. I agree.
Yeah, like, but again, if we talk July 1st, then and like something that I put out there, okay, getting him like let's say getting him with an extension, I put out there York Tippett, Bonk Nesbitt, and a first. Okay? Because look, a lot of the time, and like I also put this out on Twitter, look at these actual trades, okay? Because everyone's like, oh, there's no way you can get Quinn Hughes without one of Michkov or Martin. No, that's a lie.
No,
that's a lie.
Happening.
Okay? Because look, and I counted, like, well, the closest trade to like of an elite point producing defenseman getting traded is Erik Karlsson when he went from Ottawa to San Jose. Okay, they didn't even get a really good roster player for him. Dylan DeMello was the best roster player that they got, and like, look, Dylan DeMello is a good defenseman, but like he's what, maybe second pair defensive defenseman. So okay, fine. They got Chris Tierney, who depth forward, maybe best suited as a fourth liner. And then they got the best prospect they got was Josh Norris. Now, granted, Josh Norris now he's in injury history aside.
Injury plague, good player.
Yeah, but he's a good player. But when they actually traded for Josh Norris, I think it was 1 or 2 years after he got drafted, but he was a 19th overall pick. We're not talking about a guy that got picked in the top 5. Yeah. We're talking about, and they got 2 firsts and a second. Now, one of the firsts ended up becoming Tim Stützle. But again, that was like sheer luck. Yeah. No one thought that San Jose was going to be that bad and that pick would end up that high.
They made the pick unprotected. That's right. I remember that.
That was sheer luck.
Yeah.
So, and look, I can even tell you other trades. Guys, when the team that usually trades the best player, that's what they never get. They usually never get as much as the value of that actual player. Yeah. It's rare.
Then Karlsson got flipped to Pittsburgh, and they didn't get much for him there either. No. Vice versa. No. I think Jeff Petrie was the best player they had coming back, if I remember correctly.
Most of the time, it's always quantity over quality that the other team gets back. And that's what I'm saying. Like, and honestly, I think the package that I just said before with York Tippett, Nesbitt, Bonk, and a first, I think that's even too much. But I'm like, you know what? If that's what it would take, I would have no issues parting with that for Quinn Hughes. I would have none. But to say that there's no way we can get Quinn Hughes without one of Michkov or Martin, no, it's just stupidity. Because who's going to give up a prospect like that? Who? No. Okay, maybe New Jersey with Nemec, but again, even New Jersey, I think, would be like, yeah, listen, but he only wants to come here. Why the fuck do I have to give you Nemec? I'll just wait a year and a half and have him walk here.
Nemec is the only guy that would make sense. And even him as a prospect has kind of watered down a little bit. And they would only do that because they have a surplus of defensemen anyway. So that would be the only reason they do that to begin with.
They would probably say, you know what, take Dougie Hamilton. He's making too much money.
That would do them a favor, in all honesty, with this contract.
So, look, long story short, I think all this speculation about Michkov getting traded is just fan fabricated. It's there's nothing to it.
Yeah. People have Cutter PTSD, I think, is what it really is. You say exactly. I think it's more Cutter PTSD of what happened a year and a half ago, because it was under that regime too. That's the thing. If the Cutter trade never happened, we wouldn't even be having this discussion, I don't think. Because it set fans off because we already traded one blue chip prospect. Yeah, but that guy wasn't signed. That guy wasn't signed yet. People forget that.
And they had no choice. No choice. Or what were they going to do? He didn't want to play here. What were the Flyers supposed to do? Like, come on. Like, Michkov wants to play here. Michkov is here. He came here early to play here. Like, he clearly wants to be here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's not the same situation at all.
Agreed. All right, so let's move on to our next topic with that being said. So Flyers are 14-7-3. Back to the positive stuff. Flyers are 14-7-3. And I will say up until this, probably the second half of the Florida game, there was worries about the way the team had been playing. Just out of the sheer fact that, like, could they keep this up? Are they going to be able to keep the style of play up? Like, can they keep winning the way they are with low shot outputs, defensive first system, running off of their goaltenders, really, playing well. But over the last 2.5 games, you've kind of seen a switch flip that they've been playing more significantly. So let's just take this topic more as a collective whole. Do you think the way the Flyers have played this year as a collective whole, I'll let you go first on this one, Eric. Do you think it is sustainable? And do you think that they could lead this type of play into the playoffs?
Well, I think they could. I think, look, at the end of the day, what's the big saying? Defense wins championships, right? So, look, at the end of the day, is defensive hockey really that bad? Like, look, it could be boring at times, like we saw, like in that Tampa game, where both teams are just trying to shut each other down, and then like nothing happens. The whole game just basically takes place in the neutral zone, and you're like, okay, like what the fuck am I watching at this point?
Yeah,
I'm just turning this shit off.
Yay, 1-3-1 hockey.
But then again, you get games like against New Jersey and against the Islanders, which is a little bit more open. So look, is this sustainable? Yeah, I think it's sustainable. Like, this style of play is sustainable. The only thing is, I just don't think the Flyers have the right collection of players at the moment to actually be a threat. I think they have a good enough team to make the playoffs, guaranteed 100%. But it's going to be a lot of close games. Like, look, what is it, like 10 games now that the Flyers have gone to overtime or shootout, or more than that, or anyway, whatever it is?
I think there's 7. Yeah, I think they played 10. It's 9 or 10.
Yeah,
I can't remember the exact number. It's either 9 or 10.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the Islanders one was number 10.
They're
but anyway.
5-0 in shootouts. Can you believe that? Yeah. That's another thing just to point at, too. Like, they're the best shootout team in hockey. Who would have thought we'd ever say that with how horrible their history is with them?
But you see, like, at least you see the progress year over year. So far, what's happening this year is actually exactly what the Flyers wanted to see, right? Because you know what, like last year we were losing those close games, but we were always we're going into overtime, or they're tied. So now it's like, so the next step would be to actually win these games in fucking regulation. But again, like I said, I don't think we don't have the complete picture yet. I think right now we have maybe about 70% of the picture done. The painting is 70% done. I think there's still that 30% that needs to be finished. Yeah. Okay. Like, we need at least one more center. Now, is Luchenko going to be that guy? Possibly, maybe. I think right now in the organization, I think he's the closest to being ready. Like, there's nobody else. Like, who are we waiting for? It's Luchenko, and that's it. Yeah. Nesbitt's at least 3 years away. Jack Berglund, Ruhonen, Mike Knubel, like all these guys are like them too, maybe 1 to 2 years away. And even at that, they project to be what, bottom 6 guys? So, and that's actually, just sorry, quick. One thing that I put out there on Twitter that I got a lot of backlash for was I said that, in my personal opinion, for me, Luchenko on this team is an untouchable. And look, it's not because I think that Luchenko is going to be 120 point player. He's going to be the next Nathan McKinnon. No, absolutely not. I'm not delusional. I'm not fucking crazy. But like, guys, if you remove Luchenko from the equation, who the fuck do we have at center? We have nobody.
Berglund. Yeah.
The new discourse on Twitter right now is fucking Coots, because people are calling him a 4C, and then people are like, no, he's not a 4C. He's better than a 4C. No, he's a 4C. Anyway, at the end of the day, Coots is a bottom 6 center right now.
Yeah,
he's Jordan Staal. And I've said it before. Coots right now is Jordan Staal. He's probably best suited as a 3C, possibly 4. That's what he is. At this point of his career, that's what he is. And look, as good as Dvorak has been for the Flyers, again, I'm sorry, he's not he's maybe the way he's playing right now, okay, so you could say maybe he's a middle 6 center at best.
Yeah.
But Cates too. And look, I love Cates. But Cates for me he's Dvorak. Cates is Dvorak. It's just that Dvorak is better on the face-off. But Cates is Dvorak. So, and we have nobody coming in the pipeline, okay? And now, ask half the league. Ask Vancouver. Ask Montreal. Ask Nashville. Ask Toronto. Ask all these teams how easy it is to trade for a center. Bro,
Nope.
half the league is looking for a center and they can't acquire one. And your best availables are Ryan O'Reilly, who's on the 16th hole of his career.
Yeah, he's age 35. Mind you, he is aging like a fine wine. So maybe he's on age 15.
Granted, but for the Flyers that are looking to compete in the next 3, 4, 5, they want to be a true contender for the next 6, 7 years, let's say.
Yeah.
Is Ryan O'Reilly the guy? No. Is Nazem Kadri the guy? No. Is Blake Coleman the guy? No. We need a legit center, and those guys are not available unless it's like a Jack Eichel who says, "Fuck you guys, get me the hell out of here."
Mm-hmm.
But how rare is that? It's super rare.
Here in Buffalo, it's not that rare.
Yeah, but even Tage Thompson, there was the whole Tage Thompson. Buffalo came out and said it. Look, Tage Thompson is not going anywhere.
Yeah, Buffalo's not moving him or Darlene. Anyone else you could say, but those two no.
100%. But those two are not. They're not moving. It's not gonna happen. So who you gonna go get? If you trade Luchenko, who's coming back? No, there's nobody available. You want to wait till free agency? Fuck. Who's available in free agency? Nobody. So
I don't even know who's left outside of Panarin. I don't know who's left for decent free agent.
I think Nick Schmaltz is probably going to be the. It's going to. Fucking,
that's gross.
Come on, man.
That's fucking gross.
Oh, so come on, look, and that's why, again, it's not because I think that Luchenko is going to be such a great player or whatever, but I think, look, he's the closest we have to a guy with top 6 potential, and I've comped him before to Mike Richards, but faster. So we cannot trade this guy. It's not that because, like I said, again, because I don't think it's because he's going to be a superstar. It's because we literally cannot trade him because there's nothing left. If you trade him, there's nothing left. So yeah, that's that's all I gotta say.
Throwing some names out there for centers and free agency, just to add. Kevin Hayes, we already dealt with that experience.
Been there, done that.
He's 36. Kopitar's retiring. Malkin's potentially retiring, and I would never want Evgeny Malkin in a Flyers uniform. I can't stand him. Dvorak again. You run that back. Charlie Coyle, he's up there in age. Peugeot,
no.
Wenberg, I think Nick Schmaltz, as you mentioned, that might be the best. He's
going to be the best available. Nick Schmaltz is going to be the best. You want to give Nick Schmaltz $9 million? Fuck no.
Claude Giroux's coming home. He's back, folks.
Yeah, but even Giroux, as much as I would love it, even Giroux, I'm sorry, but he hasn't played center in what? He's a played center in the last
he's a left
2
winger,
years here.
He's a left winger that takes face-offs. That's all he is.
Exactly. You know what? You want to bring him back and maybe put him with Zegras? Okay, you know what? Let's see, You're
getting me a little excited, Eric. You're getting me real excited.
It moved
That's my dream, like I said. When this team's ready to compete, my dream is to bring him back for one last run. That's my dream. Yeah, it's probably a fairy tale more than anything, but it's more of it's a dream. But anyway, is this level of play sustainable? To the primary point.
Yeah.
So it really just depends on which level of play you're going to get. I'm all for defensive hockey, as Eric said. I'm trust me, one of the things we pointed at the beginning of the year is how much this team struggled at keeping the puck out of their own net. And you saw the PK take a bit of a step back. Obviously, the power play was ass, but that's more on the defensive aspect of things. The PK is back to where it was 2 years ago, minus the whole power kill joke. But overall, it's a borderline top 5 penalty kill. They were 4th going into last night. They did allow a goal, so I don't know what they are now. But they might be 5th or 6th now. But point is, the penalty kill has taken a step forward. You have some sustainability in net, and Vladar being here, he's been a major improvement. You're not flip-flopping Kolosov and Fedotov anymore. Urson's not getting overworked like he was as a starter, which he clearly is not. He's at best a backup, and that's even potentially debatable. But he's been playing a little bit better as of late. But at the same time, I don't want to sacrifice significant amount of offense to have that level of defense. So is it sustainable? I think there's a ceiling in it. I think that level of play can get you to the playoffs, but it's like a first-round ceiling at best. Now, can that level of play that we've seen the last 2.5 games elevate this team? Yes. I think if you get that team that you've got in the last 2.5 games, this team could potentially even win a round if they get the right matchup. I really believe that. I think you said a very good point on that. I think the picture is not completed yet. 70% done? Could be something like that. You still need at least one more top 6 center, assuming that let's just for the sheer of argument assume Luchenko's a top 6 center. It's not a guarantee yet, but if he is, that fills one of the spots. You definitely need another one still. Because at the end of the day, Dvorak is a short-term fill here, and Couturier is a bottom 6 center, as we mentioned. Cates is maybe more of a middle 6, but probably closer to the bottom, more of a high-end 3C on a cup contender or something like that. So keep him there and you're fine. But no one on this current team right now is a 1C or maybe even arguing a 2C. Maybe you could argue Dvorak could be a low-end 2C with the way he's played. But I think, again, he's more of a high-end 3C on a cup team. He's never even hit 40 points before, so this is kind of an anomaly for him. But they definitely need to find some consistency in their top 6. They need to find another top 6 center bare minimum. Because even if Luchenko was that, and he still has to grow into that, because he's not going to be a top 6 center the moment he gets here. It's something that is going to take some time to happen. But once he grows into that, maybe he ends up becoming just that. But again, it's going to take a little bit of time. And then once he becomes a top 6 center, you still need to find another top 6 center to fill into that role. So once you get both of those, then you also still need to find another defenseman, in my opinion. I still think you need to find at the bare minimum a top pairing defenseman, even if it isn't a number 1 D-man. It needs to be another top pairing level guy, because the only one of those I believe you have right now is Travis Sanheim. I like Cam York, but I think he's more suited as a number 3 D-man than a number 2 on a cup team. He's playing on a top pair right now because that's just what we have. But depending on the team, maybe he's a low-end 2D, but I think he's more of a good number 3 defenseman. Same with Jamie Drysdale, very good second pairing guy. And it looks like Emil Andre could be that too. But I do believe you need at least one more good defenseman in your top pairing. And then you could run a group of, say, Sanheim, York Drysdale, Andre Seeler. Or even if we want to go Andre Drysdale on the third pair, or Andre York on the second pair, and maybe move Drysdale Seeler as your third pair. That would be a very good 3 defenseman tandem. 6 defenseman tandem, I should say. 3-pair tandem. So I do believe you need both of those guys still. But the way they're playing right now, if you asked me today, do I think they make the playoffs? For the first time in 6 years, I say yes, I do. I think they're playing for themselves. I mean, I think they're playing for one another, and I think they're playing for their coach. I do think that Tocchet needs to continue to play what we've seen the last 2.5 games versus what we've seen prior to that, if they want to keep those hopes of making playoffs. But I think a switch has been flipped. I think the last handful of games we've seen a different team. And if we get that level of team, they're going to end up in the high 90s for points this year. And I think they will make playoffs. And speaking of joining in, we have been joined by our gracious number 3 man in the group. Hold on one sec, trying to fix this up here for you, Mr. Jamey. You know him. You love him.
It's been a day.
Jamey Baskow. Jamey, how you doing today, bud? How's
Aloha, Mahalo. Busy, man. The rental, it's got to get on the market this week, and I think we're making some leeway with that. I had to do the leaves over there. I came on to say congratulations to Alex and Nicole. your recent engagement. Much deserved and well earned, I should say. Congrats, and may things be merry in the future for you both.
Thank you. For those of you who do not know, me and my significant other have recently become engaged as of 2 days ago. I popped the question on Thursday, and she said yes. So, yes, that is a thing.
Back, the second end of the back-to-back this year. Exactly. It's because you guys got engaged. If it weren't for you, it wouldn't have happened. I'll tell you that. So.
I thought Nicole was smarter than that.
Well, she's a smart woman, and she's putting up with Alex. I mean, it's a tall task.
It is. I'm not going to lie. It is. It's a challenge in and of itself. But
I came on at the right time because I'm going to tell you the Flyers are getting Quinn Hughes at the trade deadline. It's happening. We heard it again this week. So y'all call me crazy. I don't care. I could give a darn. But hey, a Maine beat tweeted out, this week, Elliot Friedman, of course the Flyers are circling and going to ask about Quinn Hughes. Come on. It's a no-brainer. He's a Flyer at the trade deadline.
Jamey's cooking. But here's the thing. What's the package look like going back?
Well, there's a guy coming back this week I think they're going to be very interested in, and that's Oliver Bonk. He should be back. By Friday or Saturday night. That's a big pickup for the Phantoms. In my opinion, he's rightful. He could be he could be a second or top pairing defenseman. It depends on what team he would go to. He would definitely be part of that package. Because you're looking at a guy for one that could shoot from the bumper, has a massive wrist shot. He has a great shot. That's something I think Vancouver would really like. Like I said, he could be a top pairing, maybe second pairing, defenseman there. So a package would definitely be circled around him. And I'd have to throw in, you'd have to trade either TK or Owen Tippett, whichever one Vancouver wants. That's for sure. A first. Like I said, Oliver Bonk, and you might have to give up a prime time, other prospect to one of Jet Luchenko or Porter Martone to get that done, but that's what it's going to cost. You know what I mean? I don't think the Flyers will part ways with Porter. I don't think that they're going to part ways with Jet Luchenko either. But I think if they had to choose, I think, it would probably be Jet, in my opinion. That's just my personal opinion. I don't think they want to part ways with Porter. But the thing about the Flyers is they're loaded on the wing. So they got to figure things out here because Porter Martone will be a Flyer next year. So they have to trade a winger. And that's why I say one of TK or Owen Tippett, whoever, Vancouver would prefer. They probably prefer Owen Tippett just because of his scoring abilities. I mean, the guy, he's so inconsistent, but if he went maybe to a city to where it wasn't dependent upon, like Vancouver, yeah, Canadians, they love their hockey, and so does Vancouver. I know it. But maybe there's not as less pressure to play there. You know what I mean? And maybe he could, hit the net more. Maybe he wouldn't be ridiculed as much, you know what I mean? Or something of that nature. So maybe he could pot 30. But yeah, that Quinn Hughes is a Flyer by the trade deadline. That's 100%. And people could call me crazy all they want. That's fine. I don't care. You know what I mean?
Jamey dropping some more heat. He's been on this train all year. If he gets it, you got to build the Jamey statue. It's best safe for
Flyers are in need of a quasi 1A, 1B defenseman. They have Travis Sanheim, but yeah, you're right. At this point, I don't think Cam York is that guy. He's thrusted into a role that maybe isn't his, But the interesting thing is, Ristolainen should be, here, sometime this month, hopefully in a few weeks here. And let's see what he does. You know what I mean? So we'll have to see there. But yeah, I also wanted to say, I wanted to throw out, because I already know you talked about it, Matvei Michkov. What a great defensive game he had yesterday. I thought that best defensive game, and I want that to be known because, yes, he is a franchise-altering type player. I'm not taking a dig at anybody, but yeah, I will say that. And for anybody to even question that, I'd have to question their abilities of smartness of the game.
Yeah, Did you see that stick lift in the second half of the third period he had yesterday?
Can I say something?
It was great. Phenomenal.
I didn't appreciate the insult from Jamey there.
I mean,
I just having you on.
The Flyer and Alex and Eric know this because they followed the Flyers, since they were very young and stuff. they've never had a player like Michkov. You know, I wouldn't say never. Eric Lindros. We had Lindros. You know, that would be it. You know what I mean? And you know, we had Peter Forsberg. If he could only, you know, could have stayed healthy. You know, maybe. I mean, of course, you had the great John Leclerc. Who could thank you, Rick, for that. Just want to say thank you to him for that. Yeah, I mean, we've seen some, you know, guys, you know, come forth, but you know, and I have to give it to Jeff Carter because he goes on and just pots 40, you know, consistently and stuff like that. Jeff Carter, it was a shame. Jeff Carter reminds me of Owen Tippett. You know what I mean? Like just missing the net high and wide. You know what I mean?
Oh, high and wide, king of the high and wide in the early 2010s.
Yeah. He would hit from wide, but still pop 40 somehow. And you know, that was cool about Jeff. But yeah, I mean, we've seen Mike Richards come forth. You know, they've had some really good players. But in my opinion, like this is a level of Eric Lindros here that Matvei Michkov has the talent of. And I don't care who could call me crazy on that. But you know what? He's 20 years old. He has a new coach. He's learning a new language. It was kind of tough for him to come into this role and just like kill it this year.
Yeah. But he's playing better. He is playing better now. All right. With that being said, let's move on to next week's games. The Flyers got a bit of a homestand coming up. I believe they have 3 games this week, if I remember correctly. They got the Penguins on Monday, the Sabres on Wednesday, and then the Avalanche on Saturday. 3 straight home games. First 3 of a 6-game homestand, I should say. So, Jamey, since you just got here, let me start with you. What is the Flyers' record this week?
1-2. I have them losing to the Penguins. Unfortunately, I hate to say it. It's just that Crosby effect there. Crosby always kills the Flyers, you know, in Philly. He just seems to be that Philly killer, you know what I mean? And Malkin there. And I think that they want to avenge, you know, this past weekend too. So, excuse me, I think that they're going to be a little ticked off, you know, from how yesterday went for them. But the Avalanche are just on a roll. And Brock Nelson had 2 goals, 2 assists. He's in my fantasy last night for yesterday. So I'd have to go with the Avalanche for that. So I got them 1-2 this week.
All right. Valid. How about you, Eric?
Yeah, I want to say 3-0. I really want to say 3-0, but no. Let's go 2-1. I think they're actually going to beat Pitt. Pitt's been on a bit of a decline since that hot start to theirs. So I think the reality is starting a little bit to set in there. Look, Buffalo's not a bad team. Buffalo's not terrible. When they want to play, they can play. So you know what? Like I think it was last week where they smacked. Not again, it's Chicago, but still they smacked
they
Chicago
put up
with
9 on Chicago. Who the hell saw that coming?
They beat Minnesota last night.
Yeah, no, Buffalo's not Buffalo's legit this year. Like maybe they're not in. Well, look, the East is just insanely crazy this year. Everyone's separated by
There is 1 team under 500 right now, and it's Buffalo, and it's only by 1 game. By hockey 500, I should say. The
East is absolutely nuts. But anyway, whatever. You know what? I think they beat Pitt and Buffalo as either way. They shut them down. Colorado's the one where I want to say, you know what? Maybe the Flyers are the ones that give them their 2nd loss of the season.
That would be awesome.
I can't. I'm not that delusional. So let's go 2-1. 2-1.
I'm also gonna say 2-1. I think they go belt to ass on the Penguins and win that game 7-1. That's right. Book that.
Man. And let's get the only goal by Crosby.
That 1 goal will be by Crosby. I'll actually agree with that. It'll be 2-1 after 1. And then you ever see the meme where the guy pulls out the belt and just starts hitting his hand? That's what's going to be. Belt to ass on the Penguins. Then after we all get high and giddy, they win an ugly one against Buffalo. In overtime, I'll say 3-2 in OT against the Sabres. And then they lose 5-2 against Colorado. That Avalanche team just looks like a team on a mission this year. I don't know what to say. Isn't it crazy? Everyone already has over at least 20 points in the NHL right now. Who the hell saw that coming at the beginning of the year?
Oh, it's nuts.
This is insane. The entire East, except Buffalo, is at least 500 or better. And even Buffalo is only 1 game below. The amount of overtime losses this year is just nuts. And this is why I continue to scream for the 3-2-1-0.
3-2-1.
3-2-1-0. Or, you know, I saw another interesting suggestion. This one I kind of like too. Just to throw this out here and then we'll wrap things up. 3 points for regulation win, 2 for an overtime win. If you lose an overtime or a shootout, you get nothing. But you get rid of shootouts in general. Do 10 minutes overtime, 3-on-3. No one scores. You call it a tie. Each team gets 1 point.
I don't think the NHL is going to do that.
That was what I had.
Too, but it's an interesting one. Frank suggested that. I was like, I kind of like that.
Yeah, when we talked about it last, that's what I had.
You wanted just wins and losses, didn't you?
I said you're gonna have. I said I like the 3 points for a regulation win, but I said if you're going to do that, 3, 2, and you have ties. That's it. Overtime win, you get 2. You don't get a point for overtime.
I'd be fine with that.
If you lose in overtime,
I'm okay. I like that over the current system. Like I truly believe that they've got to eventually look into this because the amount of games that go to overtime now is just nuts. Like there's going to be, I'm going to say this, over half the league is going to have double-digit OT losses this year.
But I look personally. I think I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't either.
I think the NHL loves this. Gary Bettman loves this right now.
Absolutely, I agree with that.
He loves the parody.
Oh, I agree with that. I agree that it's probably not going to happen, but I think it should happen because teams that have been elevated from OTLs, like look at Vegas right now. That's a perfect example. Is the Vegas Golden Knights? They're third in their division. They're 11-6-8. Let that sink in. They're 11-6-8, but the Winnipeg Jets are 13-11-0, and they're 4 points behind them. That's what just aggravates me.
No, in Vegas got 8 overtime losses, and they're leading their division or something. We've just played them. We beat them.
But they're
but still, they're in a 8 overtime losses. It's crazy
but that's my argument. You look at a team like Winnipeg, who's 13-11-0, but they're 5th in their division because they're just not losing as many games. They haven't lost a game in OT yet. That's why.
Yeah.
Sorry to get too far off track. But anyway, that's going to wrap things up for this week's episode of the Pucking Around podcast. Thank you all for tuning in. As always, like, comment.
Flyera.
Oh, my God. I said Pucking Around podcast.
Yeah.
Holy crap. See, we were talking about league-wide shit, and then I said friggin' our league-wide podcast. My apologies. Thank you all for turning into Flyera Gonna Flyer. I apologize about all of our fans. We have a league-wide Pucking Around podcast pod that you should also check out as well. My mind's in a different place. But thank you all for tuning into the Flyera Gonna Flyer podcast. Like, comment, and subscribe for more. As always, we appreciate having you here. Check out the Don't Puck With Media store. We have a lot of cool stuff that you can potentially buy there. Shirts, hats, shoes, socks, you name it. Miscellaneous stuff like coffee mugs. You name it, we got it. Give our Don't Puck With Media site a look there. But with that being said, there is everything there. The mug promotion. Use the code ChristmasMug75 for 75% off of any mug in the month of December. talking-habs.media-shop.fourthwall.com/en.cad. That's a mouthful, but just take a picture of it and you can just type it in from there. But with that being said, that's going to do it for us this week. Thank you all for tuning in to another awesome episode of Flyer Gonna Flyer. We look forward to seeing you next week. And as always, let's go Flyers.